Former President Donald Trump shows up in court tomorrow. He will be appearing before a judge who has developed a reputation for coming down especially hard on January 6th rioters. By the way, why didn't we ever go after the people involved in the summer 2020 riots? 574 of them, dozens of dead Americans, thousands of injured cops, billions in property damage. Anyway, she also said that what happened that day should never be compared to those 574 riots. Why not? A riot should never happen any place, anywhere. This is the exact same judge who released all of the Trump White House records to the January 6th committee. So if the special counsel is prosecuting Donald Trump for challenging the results of the election, what about all the times the Democrats did the exact same thing? We just happen to have 45 minutes of tape, but we'll run only a small portion.
I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president.
I think it's also critical to understand that, as I've been telling candidates who have come to see me, you can run the best campaign, you can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen from you.
I think he's an illegitimate president that didn't really win. So how do you fight against that in 2020?
You are absolutely right.
The president is an illegitimate racist occupying the White House.
The Russian weighing in on the election, the Russian attempt to have the election, and frankly, the FBI's weighing in on the election, I think makes his election illegitimate.
It's illegitimate. And my biggest fear is that he's going to do it again with the help of Vlad, his best pal, and we're going to be stuck for 6 more years of this guy. And that is terrifying. It's terrifying.
Would you be my vice presidential candidate? Folks, look, I absolutely agree.
We had this little election back in 2018. And despite the final tally and the inauguration and the situation we find ourselves in, I do have one very affirmative statement to make. We won. I believe was a stolen election. And I'm not saying they stole it from me. They stole it from the voters of Georgia.
Oh, amazing. Any of them getting charged? Now, when the Democrats made those remarks, no one was questioning whether or not they really believed the statements. Here with reaction. Now, you're going to love his upcoming book. It's called The Democratic Party Hates America. The host of Life, Liberty, Levin, right here on the Fox News Channel, the great one, Mark Levin. Thank me. By the way, Mark is he is the only guest in the history of cable news that tells a host, "That's it, I'm done." Mark, I just want to get your general thoughts on all of it. Obviously, you got a lot to say.
I want to have a heart-to-heart here with you, Sean, and your audience in America. You know what's going on in your country. You see what's going on. You see we're unraveling. My greatest concern, and I pray I'm dead wrong, is that the Democrat Party is creating a combustible situation here. The Democrat Party is destroying our schools. It's destroying parental rights. It's destroying the nuclear family. It's destroying people of faith. It's gone after the Catholic Church. The Democrat Party is promoting censorship in all of its departments and agencies. It's destroying our traditions. It's destroying law and order, our police. Crime is rampant. Our military can't keep up now with personnel because it's destroyed our military, or is. And Joe Biden likes to talk about the bottom up and the middle out. This is a top-down passive revolution. Passive in the sense that it's not a violent revolution, but it's the kind of revolution that Antonio Gramsci, an Italian communist, and even Lenin talked about, where they take over the institutions of government, they take over the institutions of the culture, and they impose their will. We now have a government that's banning household products, from light bulbs to automobiles, in order to control your life. We have a government that is destroying your lifestyle, driving up the cost of energy. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Driving up the cost of food. People are having difficulty making ends meet, and yet their propaganda operation, that is the media, tells you how wonderful things are in this country according to this statistic or that statistic. What's happening now is something that has never happened in American history in 247 years. Not just the indictment of a president, We have 100 charges against this president. From a Democrat DA in Manhattan, a Democrat DA is about to in Atlanta, a Democrat Attorney General in New York, a radical left-wing rogue prosecutor with now 2 grand juries, completely out of control. They will use any tool they can. They don't care about free speech. They don't care about the Bill of Rights. They don't care about attorney-client privilege. They don't care about any of it. This is a Democrat Party that is power hungry. And they see an opportunity right now to monopolize the government and politics forevermore, to destroy the effectiveness of the Republican Party, which is why they keep promoting voting systems that will ensure that they're the majority party forevermore, which is why they're trying to make 2 areas, a territory, Puerto Rico, and the District of Columbia state, so they'll have 4 Democrat senators forevermore, which is why they attack only the conservatives on the court and intimidate them with their mobs and threaten them in order to try and get the decisions they want and threaten them with expanding the court in order to destroy the court. You look at everything that's going on in this country. This is a party that hates this country. This is a party that in 1857 got behind the Dred Scott decision, which tore this country apart and resulted in a civil war. And that's what I fear now. I fear it could be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I don't know. And I pray to God that I'm wrong. But look at the sycophants and surrogates on MSNBC and CNN, how they sneer and they attack tens of millions of Americans like we are white supremacists or Klansmen. They're the party of the white supremacists and the Klansmen. We're not. We're the ones who defeated them. But take a look at what they're doing to the country. The censorship, every department of the government, from the White House out, bottom up, middle out, censoring the American people, destroying the language. We can't even agree on what a woman is and a man is, destroying our colleges and our universities, destroying our public schools through their union bosses and so forth and so on. What they're doing to Donald Trump here, they're doing it because they figure they're going to get away with it. Who's going to stop them? So we have this passive top-down revolution that is taking place. It is anti-American. It is Marxist in name and shape. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the problem that we're confronting.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.